Tweet is out. Tweet is out.
I'm gonna have a sub
hammer that.
right now.
Hammering it.
A turkey sub. I'm feeling like a
Hammering the
turkey
tweet.
sub right now.
Dude, I'm feeling like doing a Wednesday edition of the Slate, and we are live. And look at us, boys. The boys are buzzing again. The boys are bussing.
Oh, all of us in hoodies too. What is it? Cold outside? Yeah.
I haven't changed in 2 days, and I'm still wearing the shirt that I had on the show this morning. I've been a bum. I've been sleeping on the couch, but I woke up because I really felt like being with you, Reed, and Jeff, and Eamon, and TP behind the scenes. You guys give me life. You are the reason I am on this earth and the reason I am happy. I love you too. I love all four of you. Reed, I haven't seen you. I haven't talked to you much this week because you've just been so busy. So your thoughts just real quick on the Super Bowl. How'd you think everything played out? And definitely that halftime show.
The halftime show, you kidding me? Every like millennial, first gen millennial in the 80s and 90s babies, we were sea walking, we were doing the holding the shoulders up.
So many terrible white people just dancing in their living rooms.
Fantastic. Every single song was a banger. Every 50 coming out, 50 looking more like $1, but I digress. All of those were songs that I would bump in my 98 Camry back when I was in high school. Way too loud, having no business doing it. And it was fantastic. When the pianos
I know, dude. Chills.
OBJ, I feel for OBJ. He was headed for a good game, a really, really solid game. And we've talked about it, is that he lost a lot of money. He gained a lot of money, and then he lost a lot of money in a very short amount of time. But that aside, you feel for the guy, right? Because he's just been injury after injury after injury. So, but again, this is a team that I picked early, in the preseason, and they stayed relatively healthy. Or when they got unhealthy, they were able to pick up the pieces and acquire players like Von Miller, players like OBJ to help them, and Eric Weddle at the last second to help them, push over the edge. So, but look, Cincinnati, you guys, don't worry. You guys have a solid team. I worry, though, that the expectations are going to be so high for them that just play your game. Don't try and exceed those expectations. And then they'll be back soon enough.
Yeah. Jeff, which team is back in the Super Bowl first? Is it the Rams or the Bengals? Which one returns?
I would have to go with the Bengals. I think the Rams are, I think they're going to be in some trouble. We went over this morning. I mean, Pierce and I both kind of picked them to have, a team who could just really fall off a cliff pretty quickly. We got the retirement news or discussion. I don't think Aaron Donald is going to retire. I don't think Sean McVay is going to retire either. But, even if that doesn't happen, I mean, you've got Odell Beckham injured. You've got a team that has no draft picks. Zero. They legitimately have no draft picks. I mean, there's nothing to fill the cupboard there, and they're kind of up against it. So they're not really going to be bringing in anyone special. They're in a division that remains easily one of the top 2-3 divisions in the league. And you can have a San Francisco team that's going to be good. Probably Seattle is going to bounce back. The Cardinals still solid. I don't see this team repeating anytime soon. And I think they're more likely than not, you see them miss the playoffs than make another run soon. So I would say the Bengals, I don't really think the Bengals have a direct path. They're going to have to, they're not exactly what I'd call a complete team, but
they need an offensive line. Not sure if you've noticed that in the playoffs. I think Burrow was sacked 17 times or something in the playoffs, which was an NFL record. Yes. Yeah, in one quarter. I was like, they have to shore that thing up, Jeff, if they're going to do anything, if they're going to get close to returning.
I mean, look, if Burrow went down for that team, I mean, it's all over too, right? So, I mean, Cincinnati still, they need to address the O-line. I think they need to just improve their pass rush a bit too.
Reed T, now Kevin O'Connell is officially gone. He's there in Minnesota taking over as head coach. But Pierce and Jeff were kind of onto something as well, with several starters and key players now pending free agents and the no picks thing. And the first rounds, that's less than ideal. So immediate help is like not coming for the Rams. Do you agree that the Bengals are likely here first? Like returning?
Yeah. Look, he's going to stay, right? He's probably got a few more years. They'll extend him for a few more years. So you like that. Robert Woods is going to be healthy. Cooper Kupp's not going anywhere. They have Whitworth is probably out. They have all of the pieces to have a solid team still, right? They really do. And we know that the experiment with giving away your draft or trading away your draft picks, we'll probably see that because the NFL is a copycat league. We'll probably see that now with more teams, right? That they'll trade away future draft picks for, guys that can win right now. Like that's going to happen more and more across every single division, every conference, right? Like it's just because it's proven to success. Having said that, I'm worried that Cincinnati right now, though, is further away than people think because they set some records both in a good sense and in a bad sense. Is that they were the worst of the two teams in yards per play in every single playoff game leading up to the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen, especially when you have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. That does not happen. So you have to have a lot of things go your way, bounce your way to get to the Super Bowl in general. Now, when you don't have an offense that's clicking right away, now when your defense, is susceptible to, if Hendrickson goes down that defensive line, they have no defense. They have no pressure against the quarterback. There is a lot left to be desired for Cincinnati. They have a ton of stuff that they need to fix. Having said that, a lot of those things go away when you have someone like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You can easily, you can patch that up quite easy when you have those two players. If they stay healthy, then yeah, this is Cincinnati. If not, then the Rams, I don't necessarily write them off because they still have a lot of good players.
One thing I think about this year's Super Bowl, just the matchup, it just shows you how much like a wide receiver quarterback driven league this is. If you get the right combo, you can get calls down the field. All the rules are in the favor of the wide receiver. Like we even saw on that penalty with Cooper Kupp. What was it? Like, I mean, those are the calls that are getting made against wide receivers. If you have elite wide receivers, this is why I kind of like Minnesota next year because they have Justin Jefferson. They actually have a decent coach now that Zimmer's gone. But if you have that and you have like even a half decent quarterback, I mean, you can get calls, you can get hot at the right time. Neither of these teams are really that good, the Bengals and the Rams. They just have a great quarterback with some good wide receivers, and you can get hot, you can get calls, and can flip
Emerson,
games.
did I just hear that Jeff thinks Kirk Cousins is a Super Bowl quarterback?
I was just going to say, I kind of like the Vikings. That's all I said.
Welcome to the dark side, Ulrich.
Roll here. Okay. Calm down.
Yep.
Kirk
Cousins, Super Bowl 23 now Masters champion.
Dude, 6-25-1 in 2 seasons before this for the Bengals. That was the record. Like no team had a worse record over at least a 2-year period and like made the Super Bowl. We talked about this morning on the show, and I wish you were part of it, Reed. But I got to ask you, like, which team do you think is poised to make a big leap, have a Bengals-esque turnaround this year? Maybe not so much the Super Bowl, but one that is ready and looks prepared, especially with some smart decisions to the draft and free agency, to climb the standings.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Dude, I honestly think they can. Okay. So.
Be my selection. Like so much has to fall your way, maybe. Well, I'll take that back. Free agency is going to be interesting, especially when you have some big names like Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, the quarterbacks, where they're going to land, the quarterback roulette of where they're going to land. I mean, to make a big leap, I'm just looking at the odds right now in the DK Sportsbook. And, I hate to say this. I don't hate the Giants. Like, I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I really don't. Yeah. But I don't hate the Giants for making a leap into relevancy. I think they're going to be. I love Brian Daboll as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator and a head coach. I think you get the right players in that position. Minnesota's is a great call by Jeff because they have the players there. They got rid of some old generation mindset, philosophies. But again, like there's a lot of teams. I don't know if there's one team right now that can make that move because when you look at Cincinnati, Joe Burrow has all the makings of being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right? He's not your prototypical quarterback of what you're looking at right now, like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and some of these players. He's more of a nod to the old style where it's more Aaron Rodgers, where it's more Stafford, where it's more those guys. And he has a good head on his shoulders. That's what I'm looking for. And probably if I had to pick one team, it's the Chargers. I think the Chargers are right there. They have, like Jeff was talking about, the receivers that can do absolute damage down the field or in a possession. They have the players on defense. It's just, can they put everything together? They have a young coach. And it's a matter of, can they get past Kansas City? Can they stay healthy? And the AFC, you kind of look at, like, Cincinnati won only scoring, or got to the playoffs, only scoring an average of like 22 points, 23 points. So the Chargers from the AFC side, or just in general, is a team that I always like coming into the season.
Yeah, they definitely don't benefit from playing in the AFC West, but I like your pick because Brandon Staley has 1 year already under his belt, and you got to I'm looking at their losses here. 5 of their 8 losses were 1-score games, and 2 of those going to overtime. Always. And this goes back to you talking about Joe Burrow and having that one important piece, the most important piece on a football team. They have an emerging MVP type in Justin Herbert under center.
Boy, and when you see him throw the ball too, it fires out of his hand like a cannon. And when you have that type of player, it's tough not to think that they're going places. And I think they have the right tenants. Like, they don't have a home field advantage, but at this day and age, Chargers, that's been the case for the last, 2 decades. Really.
And I mean, the Chargers fit like the mold we were talking about. I mean, they have like elite wide receivers, a guy who gets open pretty easily in Keenan Allen. They have a big arm quarterback, much like
Eckler, right?
Much like Burrow and Stafford, right? So yeah, I'm kind of with Reed. I mean, it's a tougher ask, I think, because you kind of have a better version of Justin Herbert to go through in Mahomes. But I mean, there's a lot of talent on that Chargers defense. They need to get it together and like get some run stuffers. But if they can do that, I think, I mean, that's a pretty solid team. I definitely think they're good enough to make a run. But
look, I mean,
a ton of cap space too, that they can use to prop up Herbert.
That's the thing, hey? Like with a lot of these teams, it's like, okay, the Bengals need to address the O-line. It doesn't mean that they're going to. The Chargers need to like get some guys in the middle. It doesn't mean that they're going to. Teams, trusting teams to do the right thing in the offseason often leaves us with tears. So, we'll see. I mean, I think the Chargers are definitely, they have the pieces to make like a Rams type of run. I absolutely agree with Reed there.
Fowler, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that like this all predicates too on where the quarterbacks land. Like the last 2 years, right? Quarterbacks move from one team to the other and they win the Super Bowl. So a lot of these teams are, well, I wouldn't say a lot. A few of these teams, especially near the top, and that's why you're seeing reflected in the odds, are a Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady, Matt Stafford type of quarterback move or type of move away from making a difference. Like, that's not to say that if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, they win the Super Bowl, because they got to stay healthy. But I mean, why do you think they signed all those receivers last year to extensions? Their defense is solid. Why do you think they went after a running back who's similar to Aaron Jones to an extent? I think he's better than Aaron Jones was when he was at his, in his second year in Javonte Williams. Like, you have this, it feels like the same type of team. Now, you go to the AFC West, that's a little bit harder than where Rodgers is now, but it kind of feels that way, right? If he goes to one of those teams.
Yo, speaking of that, so he and his fiance broke up.
No, this is good because I wanted to bring this up.
I just want to see everyone break up and be single.
Per usual. Your Emmy Award winning wife. I mean, you're obviously
no, it's true. It's a trickle down effect to my family.
Exactly. It's a perfect segue because I wanted to say the Denver Broncos odds, despite the breakup today, haven't moved. So I don't know. Maybe is this a delayed reaction? Because Woodley was the one who had the Denver roots, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she's
yes.
A lot of the Denver narrative was built around Shailene Woodley. Denver Broncos at plus 2,000 in the Super Bowl odds. I'm sorry, but that's all predicated on Aaron Rodgers having a good chance of going there. Now that there's no Woodley involved, like, I think the value right now is with the Packers at plus 1,600. I don't think you're going to see this number on the Packers for too long. I'm telling you right now. If you're interested, I think there's a good chance. Aaron Rodgers, the money is there. There's less of a Denver attachment.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. I don't know, man. I'm looking at the Packers at plus 1,600, and I'm thinking like this number ain't going to be here for too long.
I mean, they're in a tough salary cap position, but it was interesting on Sunday, of course, when the eyes of the world are all on the sports world and on football, that the report leaks that the Packers are prepared to make him the highest paid player in the NFL and also go all in on building around him in 2022. And any of these teams can say, oh, we're in tough cap space. But that's when you start reworking contracts, pushing money to other years. And if you start pushing money down the road, we all know, as we talked about before the show, I mean, the cap is just going to get higher and higher here over the next couple of years. Reed.
Yeah, but while we're this is the thing that Jeff just alluded to. You know what Aaron Rodgers has been for the last 15, 20 years, however long he's been in Green Bay. Now you only say we're going to build around Aaron Rodgers.
I think they've said this multiple times before. They just haven't done it. They just haven't done it.
That's what I mean. We're going to build, and then you draft Jordan Love. We're going to build around. It's like, come on, man, give me a break.
He's probably thinking the same thing.
It's ridiculous, and that's why he's fed up. Look, if any of us in any other situation, that's what I love to do. Right? Is if we were in a similar situation at our own jobs, at your own 9-to-5s, everyone who's watching, and similar things played out from your employer to you, and you were the best at what you did, you would be fed up. And you're like, I'm taking my talents across the street where they're going to pay me more. Life's going to be easier. I can set my own schedule. I can be where I want to be, so on and so forth. Right? Scale that up to what these guys are dealing with. And yes, it's millions and millions of dollars. And you're saying, why would you want to go to Denver over Green Bay? Because Green Bay has the allure of being one of the best organizations in sports. But Denver, I've been to Denver, and I lived in Colorado. Denver's a great city. You went to college out there. Yeah. And look, it's a place where you can easily, have a lot of fun, or you can go 2 hours to the best skiing and snowboarding in the country. I'm not saying that's the reason why Aaron Rodgers would go, but those things right now, if we're looking at futures, that's what you have to think of. It's all narrative based, right? Because there's no data because everything's done. It's over. So and I agree with Jeff. Green Bay is my favorite place, my favorite bet right now. If I'm taking a look at this, to win, to at least get to the Super Bowl and then win it. Right, because they still have they were 13-3 last year, or 13-4, whatever it was. I know. 4 last year.
Oh, they were a block punt away from probably going to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, the Rams weren't beating the Packers in Lambeau. This wasn't happening.
We know Stafford doesn't have a great track record there. So
no, exactly.
maybe onto something. There's no doubt the Packers are going to have to kind of follow the same blueprint that they had last year when they were in a same situation with Aaron Rodgers. The team had to restructure every veteran contract possible and push that money into the future to keep this core intact. So they're going to have to take a similar approach. I mean, Reed, you're mentioning how fun it is out west. There was no funner place on earth than TPC Scottsdale last week, dude. That toodaloo, Jeff. He's so excited. He may have to go change his pants or something. Yeah, I don't know. But dude, I'm this year, this tournament always this one, and we talked about it last week on the slate, is always one that we absolutely love and adore. You have to watch because you never know what's going to happen, especially on 16. But this year, I felt it was so good for golf. A couple stuffy people on Twitter, oh, this is good for the game. Shut up, old man. Go yell at a cloud. What we saw last week in Phoenix was a thing of beauty, Reed.
Look, the courses aren't challenging enough too. I mean, the beer cans on it just creates a different element. I love it.
I know you should be allowed to start throwing them right when
changed. Go
right when a golfer hits the ball. You should be able to start throwing it out there and just start.
I heard they're also throwing golf balls on 18. I think at the green or somewhere. So look, everything, and this tournament has everything for everyone, right? And I think Mayo said this on one of his shows this week, and it makes a lot of sense, is the novelty and the allure and how great it is because it's only at this tournament. It's not like we have this every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. It's just here during Super Bowl week. It's right by ASU. And so I thought Mayo, when he mentioned that, it was really poignant of why it is great from that sense. Other than that, the 16 is fantastic. Throw your beer cans, go ape, you know what, when a hole-in-one is made, because those things are so random and amazing and extremely hard. Yes, do it. When JT chipped in and then they started throwing beer cans, it's like, okay, like that's a little bit excessive, but you're asking a frat party to basically, quiet it down. It's not going to happen. And then look at the course. Look at the top 10 who finished there. It's like the best golfers that we had at this tournament, sans like Victor Hovland, Sam Burns, and some of the other key names that didn't make the cut, and Finau. These were solid players. And then you saw the playoff. It had everything for everyone. So all the stuff people on Twitter who are saying, don't do this, don't do that. There's a reason why they're stuffy, and there's a reason why they're yelling at clouds, is because they see the game is changing, and it's
they hate it
in the way of people who are watching the sport. And
maybe they can hand out something to throw instead of beer cans next year. I don't know, but like regardless, the atmosphere, you can't tone it down. Like it is what it is, right? Like
you can't control those people.
You either go full bore and say this is it. This is the one hole you guys get to do it on, or you have to remove it. And I think it's fine to do it for one hole. It's one hole. Everybody knows it's coming. Everyone knows what it is. It's
one hole,
it's
one
the
tournament
same for everybody. It's not like not like one group is like getting like perfectly quiet or something, and it's fine, man. Like, and I'm not like, I don't think, I've said this before, I don't think every tournament should try and copy what Phoenix has done, but I think every tournament should try and find a similar niche or an original niche like Phoenix. Like, have a hole that's fun. It doesn't have to be the party crazy hole, but like make a stadium out of a couple holes. It creates more theater. Like, do something.
Absolutely.
I don't know why it's kind of two, because the 17th at TPC Sawgrass is the same too. But why is there only like 2 holes like that per year? I don't understand. It's just do more of it.
That's a bigger discussion of like who's right, like who's dealing, like the golf architectures, the USGA, like. This, like, I hate to say it, but you and I, like us three, we bring down the average age of golf fan, because it's been a sport that's been watched and adored by a certain demographic, and I'll just leave it at that. The same guys who are yelling at and complaining about the 16th hole are the same guys who are complaining, and same people who are, because it's not just guys, it's both, the same people that are complaining about everything on the PGA Tour. Everything. Right? Because it's like, oh, this and the Pro-Am that, or like they're making the courses too long, or the driver's this, the golf ball's that. It's like, give me a break, man. Like, just enjoy the game. And yes, within the rules and the confines of the sport, and have integrity within the sport, because that's what makes it great, is the competition, the integrity, the stakes are super high. But I mean, that tournament was so great. And like Jeff and I all 3 of us were texting. I would have lost my what if Scheffler came in second yet again.
You two were great. You two had an awesome week when it came to your picks. Like, touche. I'm really proud of you.
But Bubba could sink a putt. If Taylor Gooch could come up on a Sunday.
Here it is.
Oh my goodness. Guy was in his penultimate group and he just ejected in hole 2. And you know what's worse too with that is that once you do that on Sunday, the broadcast just drops you. Like, we didn't see Taylor Gooch for the rest of the tournament, right? Like, that sucks.
Sorry, dude. You're out, man.
But anyway,
for those reasons, you're out.
Yeah.
It's all good. Like, I loved
tournament.
It was. And I went back on my timeline. I'm just looking at the video again of like Harry Higgs and then Joel Donovan, dude, when they ripped their shirts off on 16 and they were just celebrating pars. Like, this isn't like the madness. It looked like if you would have watched this video, you'd been like, oh my God, what, like one of these guys just made a hole in one. Like, no, they're just celebrating, like making 5-footers for pars on 16. Beers are flying again.
I think someone bet Harry Higgs, like one of the players, $8,000 if he took his shirt off.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forget who it was. Like, I think I heard that. It's probably a rumor, but I mean, with these guys, of course, right? And Dominus said the same thing. He's like, if he takes his shirt off, I'm taking mine off. You see the pasty white, like hairy.
I mean, if anything, it shows too, like the players don't mind this stuff, right? I mean,
yeah.
Like they want a little bit of excitement in their lives. I know it throws a little bit more like variance into it. And I'm sure there's a few golfers out there who, will continue to skip this event, but you don't see many people just like not skip Phoenix anymore. Like it's not an event where it's like, oh yeah, we're not going to go there. Even Rory's finally showed up over the last few years. Like everybody has kind of gone. So it's a very select group who like, stays away from this kind of stuff now.
Yeah. The DJs of the world will like go over to like the Middle East and get that
right.
cash check.
But I think a lot of it, you've seen a lot of these guys start embracing like the younger kind of like madness and the fun of social media too, because of that player impact program. It made a huge difference last year, guys. Like golf was in the news like a lot more, just trending a lot more on social media. It was brilliant because all these guys realized, man, I gotta start doing something to get people talking about me and golf and the tour if I want a chunk of this, fat bag like at the end of the year. So like, I can't imagine like, Higgs and Domin are probably like in the lead right now of however they divvy up like all that cash. But
Tiger needs to just send out like one practice shot on the range like he did last night, and he'll
it's true. He's like right back to the top. And I'm glad you brought up Tiger because he made his debut here at Riviera like 30 years ago. But real quick, because you mentioned like the Middle East read, and it was something I wanted to get to with Len this morning, but we didn't have enough time on the show. Like you have like the past 3 weeks, you have the story of this Saudi super golf league that could be like forming, and some of the biggest names rumored to be going over there. One of the guys, I forget which golfer it was, hopped on a podcast and said there's already about 17 guys who have committed to this.
Kramer Hickok, really nice favorite.
All right, so I don't think we have all the specific names, but you see the reports out there of like our guy DK, Bryson DeChambeau, who's been rumored up to like $200 million. Phil Mickelson's been very vocal about this. How worried should the tour be about this threat, Reed?
I think they have to be worried that they have to pay attention to it, just because it's in the news, right? If you don't say something, then it feels like, right, you can like, and this is a PR thing. If you don't say something, then it could mean two things. One, you don't care about it enough, or two, you don't know exactly what to say. And that, is not necessarily greatest. Like Jay Monahan, the commissioner, has a tough job. He's got to make sure the tour is great for all the individual independent contractors that are the PGA professionals. He's got to make sure the brand of the PGA Tour is fantastic. And he's got to make sure the sponsors and everything on a certain level are up to snuff. And then the purses, so on and so forth. It's not just him. It's a bevy. It's a panel of people, if you will. But having said that, I think Colin Morikawa in his press conference said it the best.
Yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah, and those are the guys that you have to watch. It's not so much the Phil Mickelsons, the Ian Poulters, the older generation of guys who, look, when you talk about millions and millions of dollars and what's the difference, I think Rory was asked that, and he's like millions and millions doesn't mean anything to me. Well, like, yeah, Rory, because you've made like $1 billion with endorsements, so it doesn't really matter to you. But to these guys who, maybe just have 40 million and they want to get that extra house for another 60 million, that makes a difference to a lot of guys, right? And if it's a cash grab, then the older generation is probably going to listen a lot closer. If the Morikawas, the Schefflers, the Burns, the Wolves of the world, if they're saying, this is interesting, that's when you got to be scared. Not like the other guys like Phil, because Phil's great, but like, it's more of a cash grab. And Morikawa mentioned, like, I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to look at it. But the last thing I'll say about this is that these golfers, and you've heard it from all of them, is that there's a romanticism and a love with the PGA Tour, right? That now, like, and Homa said this about this week, is that I see my picture at a golf course that I grew up playing and I absolutely love. And that to him means more than the money that he'd be getting if he were asked, if he's one of those guys. And that's a big thing that a lot of these guys speak about, Morikawa included, is that there's a love with the PGA Tour, and they've tried their hardest and have achieved to realize their dream. So that's the other thing too.
Ulrich, you and I messaged about this a little bit this morning before the show. Like Greg Norman and company can throw around like boatloads of cash, but the league can't really work without a huge influx of of players, and they're going to need a lot of luck as well if this thing's going to become somewhat successful.
They're going to need an influx of players. They're going to need people to care. They're going to need people to, other than just like a few, gamblers like myself and Reed and other people who will certainly be paying attention to the events and betting it. And I think that I'm not really that positive about it, but if this does work, like gambling will probably, it's funny, but I mean, having the extra audience and if they buy into the gambling side of it, I think that actually could be an avenue where this thing is a little bit more successful than people think. But man, if you don't have the talent over there and you don't have like, get a little bit of these events to get a little bit of like, I don't know, fan exposure or the proper kind of just, atmosphere, this will die out really quickly because the traditional golf audience, they're not really going to care, man. Like if you're throwing, I don't care if it's Bryson and Phil out there, maybe the first event, Phil's playing. And it's like, okay, well, this event doesn't mean anything for the PGA. The Players is on next week. Let's watch that. That's the thing. They're going to be going up against PGA events every week. The PGA doesn't take a break. Like, I'm sorry. And there's big events like in a lot. And there's a little bit of dead time over the summer and stuff. But there's also 2 majors in the summer. There's the Players. There's WGCs. And like, okay, you water down the talent a little bit at the top. Maybe like a couple guys go. We don't know about yet. But the PGA, and I tweeted this like yesterday. But the PGA is deep, man. Like, you leave. There'll be 2 guys to replace you. I mean, the talent. We thought, look at Theegala last week. Like, I mean, where's this guy coming from? Straight out of college.
That was so awesome.
Just about grabbed his first win. There's 4 Theegalas coming up next week. Like, I mean, that's how deep golf is. So,
Willie Z, like just last year, right?
Sure,
last year,
exactly.
was a guy, another dude who came on, and he's being compared to like Happy Gilmore's caddy. Like, people love that. The younger generation like loves that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a good point.
If they want to overpay these guys with a little bit of brand recognition, go ahead. And the amounts of money, I mean, I get it. I mean, if that's what floats your boat, the only thing, then go for it. And look, the PGA, we're not saying the PGA Tour is perfect. I'm sure a lot of these guys have legit gripes and maybe the revenue sharing could be better. Or the purses could be a little bit bigger just for what they bring in. But man, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a long shot that any new league going straight up against the PGA is going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, the novelty is going to wear off, right?
Wear off real quick.
It's going to wear off quickly from an audience standpoint. And Jeff, when you were talking, I had this vision of like, let's say these 15 players go and they're all excited and they all like, hey, we're all here. And then once they're there, and not necessarily in the Middle East, but because they said like Kramer Hickok said there's like 10 events in the US.
It's gonna be a lot in the US, apparently.
So it's not like they'll be over in the Middle East, but the proverbial, you're looking over at the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing all of that happening when you're here. And then on top of that, if you go, then you're always going to have that moniker and that label that you jumped ship to do that. I don't think that really matters from like a longevity standpoint.
Yeah.
But when you talk about, just the legacy of the PGA Tour, like that's a big thing too, right? And look at all these other leagues that have tried to do this, right? And the PGA,
the Hooters Tour.
Exactly. The PGA has the Corn Ferry, which is one of the best feeders talking about farm systems for any profession. And they have the best retirement plan, which is the Champions Tour, where they can still be competitive.
They have injury plans.
That's a great point. Like they give these guys a lot of, there's plenty of opportunities to be relevant and succeed.
So like that, you're leaving that and the legacy of 100+ years, close to it, or maybe not 100, but a lot of years of the trials and errors of the PGA Tour. Let's not forget like the FedEx Cup playoffs like 5 years ago weren't great. 3 years ago weren't great. So this is constant iteration. The talent is always going to win out. The Rorys, the Morikawas, those guys, they stay. PGA should be fine.
Yeah, man. All right, guys, let's get to what's going down at Riviera here. It's not a major, but it sure feels like it. I think all top 10 golfers in the world are in this field. The field is ridiculously strong, which is why I think maybe Rahm sees a little dip in his price there at plus 800. So Fowler, whose odds stand out to you here on this board?
Yeah, I like a lot. I like a lot of these guys. I think number one is Xander for me at 22 plus 2,200. Tee to green. I think everyone's probably cited this stat that he led the field last week in strokes gained tee to green. Just could not putt. Loves California, loves playing on greens. I think that's this year has been the first time in a long time that we've seen twos in front of Xander's name. So when you got that, I feel like the same way if DJ was there, I'm not saying they're the same player, in the same way where Brooks is at in the 30s, it feels like an automatic, and especially now with the whole California narrative. I'm also going back to Willie Z at plus 2,800. That's probably come down. I think it opened it did at plus 3,500. So it's come down quite a bit, but there's a lot of correlations with the Farmers, and obviously he was there. It's extremely hard to putt here, so I'm not too worried about how bad of a putter he is. And then last but not least, got to go with a guy like Joaquin Niemann. His talent is too good. We talk about young players. We sometimes leave him out. When we talk about Hovland, Scheffler, Sanjay, and these guys. Niemann's going to be around for a long time, and if he gets a win here, that's really going to cement him. So I like those three guys amongst quite a bit others.
All right, so Jeff, the PGA Tour has seen a first-time champ in each of the last 3 weeks, dude. Are you chasing someone who can make it 4, like a Willie Z, or you like someone else who already has a dub on the resume?
How about a Christian Bezadenhout, boys? Plus 10,000.
Dude, he's so excited that he's back.
Well, finally, his number is bettable.
It's actually very big. It's I'll sing his praises for a bit. 29 out of his last 30 events, he's made the cut. He doesn't miss cuts. He's got the good around the green game for a tough venue. It's really just more of a number thing. Up there at plus 10,000. I'd rather bet him than Mackenzie Hughes, than probably going back to Thigala there. Corey Connor's interesting up there too, but I think Bezadenhout is his ball striking has improved this year. If you look at the stats too, he's very consistent. He will get through eventually. I'm telling you, he will definitely pick up a win fairly soon on the PGA, and I do not mind betting him at those prices. But let's go to the top. I agree 100% with what Reed said about Xander. We've finally gotten to the point where there's Xander Schauffele fatigue. And by fatigue, I just mean his number has finally gotten to a point where he's bettable. Because last year at this time, it was like plus 1,400, plus 1,200. You can't bet him when he's the same odds as Justin Thomas. You just can't do it. But now he's almost double Justin Thomas. He's coming off a great week. It's fine. This is the same price Scotty Scheffler was last week. I love it. He's played Riviera plenty of times. He's got a great around the green game. He's hitting it perfectly last week. I think it's a very good number to get Schauffele. I'm surprised he had a great, it's he's coming off a good week and now he's still available at this number. Yeah, that's where I'm starting too. Rory was tempting. I understand why a lot of people are on Rory here, but I want the guys who've been in contention in the US. I'm not really interested in betting the guys who are coming in from overseas. I know Morikawa and Johnson, that those are bettable prices on them, but I want the guys who are here, Pebble, Phoenix. That's traditionally where the winners of this event have come. You got to grind it out on the West Coast, man. I'm telling you. And so I'm liking Xander a lot for all those reasons. Reed mentioned Bubba. I'm probably going to stay off, but it's Bubba at Riviera. Is it really a bad number over plus 3,000? Probably not. The guy again, and I think he's getting, this is my second favorite pick, and I think he's getting overlooked, is Jordan Spieth. Dude is runner up 2 events ago on the West Coast. He's hit the ball pretty well too. He's gaining strokes off the tee. When Jordan Spieth gains strokes off the tee, that's great because the rest of his game is really good. And it looks like he's getting sharper. He's finished well here too. He just about made the playoffs back here in 2015. He's got lots of experience on the course. Jordan Spieth's a proven winner. I think when you get him at plus 4,000 in decent form, I think these odds are too big too. And look, Adam Scott, Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson, what do they all have in common?
Masters.
What do they also have? They've all won here before too, in the last 6 years. It's a good event for Masters correlation. So I love the number again on Spieth.
I think it was Len this morning who made that same comparison, Jeff, how like guys who have performed well at the Masters tend to perform well like on this course. So there's just a lot of similarities between the two.
The green structures, again, if you've been on social media, firm, fast greens, and slopey too. There's a lot of elevation with Riviera, very similar to Augusta, and some tougher long par fours with tougher tee shots. Both of those, both courses hold those. They're very similar in terms of those kind of layouts. A little bit more classic, some dog legs, but they put a little bit more pressure on guys off the tee. They got really slick, fast greens, and you just shouldn't be shocked to see the correlation between those two.
Yeah, Reed, just real quick, because I know you called that last event with Spieth for the PGA Tour. You're in the booth there for 4 days. Like you picking up a little bit what Jeff's putting down with that guy. I mean, you saw 100%. Almost every swing of his.
100%. I mean, he was right there. I think he also said too that he found that on his 3-wood or his driver there was a crack, and so the reason why like maybe he didn't hit it as well on the 18th 72nd hole, that he found out that there was some something up with the club face. I mean, I digress. Like he didn't lose it on the 72nd hole. He lost it in 2 previous. But yeah, I mean, you have to also value these guys. Take a look at where he is. He's by Sam Burns. He's by Russell Henley. He's by Sanjay, and I love Sanjay and all the guys that he's around. But you talk about the Masters correlation where there's a lot of similarities off the tee and on the green, like Jeff talked about. Like Jordan Spieth at plus 4,000. I mean, give me a break. Absolutely, I was betting this guy like plus 20, 2,500. And yes, it's a stronger field, but how does Jordan Spieth play in stronger fields? We know that he elevates his game. The other guy too, you take a look, and the reason why I love this event, not just because of the allure and just because of the course and everything, is that so many guys are at the top here, all the best players in the world. So you're getting great value from like 40 down. I mean, Abe Answer is plus 8,000. That's wild to me that he's by Luke List. Patrick Reed, although we're not going to bet him, I don't think, is at plus 9,000. And Jeff talked about Christian Bezettin, who was half the odds 2 weeks ago. And now he's double the odds. So there's a lot of there's a lot of players to like. There's only 120 golfers in the field. So top 65 and ties make it. And hopefully you're going to get your guy through the.
And look, if you're sitting here saying those guys got no chance, since 2013, we've had John Merrick, JB Holmes, who was going off at like 150 to 1, and then James Hahn win this event, who legitimately was like 300 to 1 or bigger. So the upsets will come. And I mean, Max Homa was like 66 to 1 here last year too. Riviera produces some surprise winners. It certainly has in the past. It's a tough event. If you can figure out the greens early, it's a big advantage. So you don't feel like you just need to bet like guys under 3,000 this week or something. At the very least, there's like Reed said, there's lots of value with some guys like Neiman and Casey I'd throw out there too, in that range. So.
All right. Well, don't be surprised when it's Cam Smith becoming the second 2-time winner on tour this season after that historic performance in Reed's neck of the woods. He's got 4 top 15s and 5 starts. The guy just fell out of the world top 10 because of basically
he's
just
on the
not
card
playing.
Too, baby.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. And Jeff and I have
because he's at his odds. But look at what he's done. Yeah,
dude, he's awesome. He's awesome. T4 Riviera last year, and then which bettered his T6 finish in 2018. Jeff and I have a friendly wager. Cam Smith just has to finish higher than Jordan Spieth. Ooh. And then I don't know, when Jeff loses that, maybe he'll mammy my winnings from this friendly bet and also my dog's Christmas gifts. We got to go. We're up against it here. I love you guys. Great stuff. Reed, enjoy your time with family. And Jeff, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. And Eamon and TP, I love you guys as well. We'll see you. Peace.